Hello once again YouTube, it's Dark Dreamer here again, and I'm here to tell you something really important. Lycanthropy is gay. I don't mean gay in the sense of bad, I mean gay in the sense of flagrantly homosexual. Now, unfortunately, Twilight seems to have given people the impression that werewolves are hot men that girls can be attracted to. Sorry, you can't. They belong to us. You see, lycanthropy is, in short, all one big metaphor. Now, there are several interpretations of the metaphor, and one that is commonly given is that lycanthropy represents puberty. You see, a male character, because unfortunately werewolves tend to be male in most common media, effectively, as the male ages, he grows hair, and begins to experience desires he hasn't had before and is perhaps not used to. Physical growth, changes, blah 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 blah, you know. And then there's the whole female thing of moonly rituals tying into the menstrual cycle. But it's all basically maturity. However, you can take the metaphor one step further, and this is where the homosexual element enters in. You see, most people when becoming a werewolf not only don't understand what's happening to them, causing a lot of confusion, but are also scared or hateful towards what's occurring to them. Because it's not good, basically. People can be hurt severely. And it's a rather terrifying time. And this is all tied into, if you live in a very hateful environment where there's a lot of homophobia, somebody realizing they're homosexual can have a very tough time, try to repress, deny who they are. A good example of how werewolves and the whole repression side of homosexuality come together is in Buffy, which is like, yay! In the Season 2 episode Phases, the character of Xander talks to a character called Larry Blaisdell, who he believes is a werewolf, because there have been a number of werewolf attacks and Larry seems to have certain signs of being a werewolf. So Xander questions him using rather vague, open questions, and this causes Larry to come out of the closet because his interpretation of Xander's questions has led to that. So you see, the two can be quite closely connected. Then there's also the fact that often a character who is a werewolf will find that it gets in the way of their love life, particularly males being attracted towards females. Anybody who remembers the show Big Wolf on Campus will be aware of the fact that every time Tommy got anywhere near either Stacy or Laurie, he would wolf out, take on wolfen features, and he would have to abandon them and get as far away as possible because otherwise they'd freak. So, going with the metaphor here, the concept is that no matter how much he might have been trying to feel attraction towards these female characters, his homosexual, gay instincts inside of him would come to the fore, and he would have to abandon things. He couldn't possibly go any further. Tommy would then almost always go to the character of Merton, who is his best friend, and the person who understands his werewolf side. Now, Merton is not exactly what you could call a butch character. In fact, it's kind of obvious that, well, they can't exactly say it since it's a kid's show, but he's gay. Like, seriously. No matter how much he might be attracted to any female character who comes his way. Again, an aspect of hiding who he truly is. Now, Tommy will go to Merton, and Merton will ease down the gay traits, and yeah, you can take that as a metaphor of sexual release. I choose to. 1 second here, I think it was right. If the werewolf represents the id, and human is the superego, then so too is homosexuality the id, and heterosexuality the superego. Now, the human character is always the ego, the central point between these two conflicting variables. And they always seem to lean towards the superego. This is the ideal self, the person they want to be. However, they can't ignore their id, their instincts, and so, because of this conflict, they can't be at peace. However, there are certain cases where a balance is found. In the Wes Craven movie, Cursed, the character of Jimmy is bitten by a werewolf. Now, there are two other characters who are really important to this metaphor. One is Brooke. Brooke is a girl on whom Jimmy has a crush. She shows interest in him before he becomes a werewolf. Once he has, she is hardly seen. There is another character called Bo. Bo is a boy. Bo picks on Jimmy while he's human, but once he becomes a werewolf, Bo confesses attraction towards Jimmy, admitting that he himself is homosexual and assuming Jimmy is too. Now, Jimmy is caught up in a severe conflict with a couple of other werewolves at this point in the movie, so he can't handle things. At the end of it, once his wolf inside has been suppressed, he asks Brooke if he can walk her home. Now, this seems to suggest that as his humanity is returned, so has his heterosexuality. However, a moment later, he turns to Bo and asks him to go with them. Now, the three of them being together perhaps suggests that Jimmy has reached a point of total balance and perhaps bisexuality. Becoming a werewolf, in this metaphor, seems to be not just a physical change, but an emotional, sexual change, if you will. And so, the werewolf is a supernatural creature that represents homosexuality.